Chapter 3. The Man. The child's song broke off in a little scream, for things are sometimes startling even when you have been expecting them. But the scream bubbled into a laugh. I'm laughing because you look so funny. I took some bread and milk because I was hungry. She stopped abruptly, feeling that sob somewhere about her again. The dwarf advanced toward her and she held on to the back of the chair, but he held out his hand and smiled. "How do you do?" he said. "I'm very glad to see you. Pray you sit down again and finish your supper." "It's your supper," said the child, who was honest. "I didn't mean to steal it. I don't know, perhaps there isn't enough for both of us." She had a way of leaving out words in her sentences that sometimes confused people, but the dwarf seemed to understand. "There is plenty for both," he said. "Come, I'll sit down here and you shall give me some milk. I am hungry too. Have some honey." He nodded at her and smiled again. He had the most delightful smile the child had ever seen. Somebody once said you could warm yourself at it as at a fire. The child took a piece of bread and looked at him over it as she nibbled. He was not a tiny dwarf, not one of the kind that get into flowers and fight with grass blades, not that sort of thing. No, indeed, he was just a little man. Why, he was taller than she was, though not so very much taller. He had brown hair and a soft brown beard, and his eyes were brown too, and full of light. All brown and gray, for his dress gray and soft. Kind of a humplety velvet, the child said to herself, though it was really only corduroy. He seemed all at peace with the house and the gray rock behind it. Now he looked at her and smiled again. "You look as if you were wondering something very much," he said. "Have some more milk. What are you wondering?" "Partly I was wondering where the rest of you was," said the child. "The rest of me?" said the man. "There isn't any more of me. This is all there is. Don't you think it's enough?" He smiled still, but this time it was only his mouth, and his eyes looked dark as if something hurt him. "I mean the others," the child explained. "The rest of the 7. I guess it's 6, perhaps? There was 7 of them when Snow White came to, you know." "7 what?" asked the man. "Dwarfs," said the child. "Oh," said the man. He was silent for a moment, as if he was thinking. Then he laughed, and the child laughed too. "Isn't it funny?" she said. "What are you laughing at?" "Yes, it is funny," said the man. "Why, you're just like Snow White, aren't you? But there aren't any more dwarfs. I'm the only one there is here." The child thought that was a pity. "You could have much more fun if there were 7 of you," she said. "Why don't you get some more?" Then, suddenly recollecting herself, she added hastily, "I never did cook, but I can stir porridge and I can dust too, and I expect I could make your bed, 'cause it wouldn't be so big, you see. I tried to make beds, but I get all mixed up in the sheets and the blankets are horrid, and I never know which is the wrong side of the spread, so you see." "I see," said the man. "But I expect I can make yours, don't you? Should you mind if once I didn't get the spread right, you know?" "Not a bit. Besides, I don't like spreads. We'll throw it away." "Oh, let's," said the child. "Hurrah! Do you say hurrah?" "Hurrah," said the man. "Do you mind if I smoke a pipe?" No, the child did not mind at all. So he brought a most beautiful pipe and filled it and lighted it. Then he sat down and looked at the child thoughtfully. "I suppose you ought to tell me where you came from," he said. "It isn't half so much fun, but I suppose they'll be missing you at home, don't you? Your mamma?" The child hastened to explain. Her mamma was away, had gone quite away with her papa, and left her, the child, alone with Miss Tyler and the nurse. Now, Miss Tyler was no kinds of person to leave a child with. She poked and she fussed, and she said it was shocking whenever you did anything, but just anything at all except sit still and learn hymns. "I hate hymns," said the child. "So do I," said the man fervently. "It's a pity about Miss Tyler. Where is it you came from, Snow White?" "Oh, it's somewhere else, a long way off. I can't go back there. Dwarfs never send people back there. They let them stay and cook and do the work. And I'm almost as big as you are," the child ended with a little quaver. "So you are," said the man. "Now we'll wash the dishes and forget all about it for tonight anyhow." It was glorious fun washing the dishes, such pretty dishes, blue and white with houses and birds on them. They went into the kitchen through one of the doors, and there were all the things were bright and shining, as if they were made of silver. The child asked the dwarf if they really were silver, but he said, "Oh no, dear, only Britannia." That sounded like nonsense because the child knew that Britannia ruled the waves. Her papa sang a song about it. But she thought perhaps dwarfs didn't understand about that, so she said nothing. The dwarf brought a little cricket, and she stood on that and wiped the dishes while he washed them, and he said he never liked washing them so much before, and she said she never liked wiping them so much before. Everything was as handy as possible. The dishpan was as bright as the rest of the things, and there were plenty of clean towels, and when you shook the soap shaker about, It made the most charming bubbles in the clean hot water. "Do you ever make bubbles in your pipe?" said the child. "Not in this one," said the dwarf. "I used to have a pipe for them. Perhaps I can find you one for you by and by." "I made bubbles in the river," she announced, polishing a glass vigorously. "There was a stone, and I sat on it, and the bubbles I made was kicks, in the water, and songs I made too, and the river bubbles went too all the time. There was a frog too, and he came up and said things to me, but I kicked at him. He wasn't the frog prince, because he had no gold spots on him. Do you know the frog prince? Does he live here in this river? Do you have gold balls when you play ball?" "I'll get one," said the dwarf recklessly. "It's no fun playing ball alone, but now I'll have one. I shouldn't wonder. How far did you come along the river, Snow White?" "Miles," said Snow White. "And didn't you have shoes and stockings when you started?" Yes, the child had shoes and stockings, but she took them off to see her toes make dust toes in the dust. Did ever the dwarf do that? It was fun. She left them away back there, miles away, before she came to the river in the woods, and her hat. She laughed suddenly. "Did you ever put flowers in your hat and send it sailing for a boat?" "Is that what you did, Snow White?" "Yes, and it was fun. It went bob bob right along with the water and the bubbles, and then it tipped against a stone, and then it went round the corner, and that's all I know," she said, and ended suddenly. "You're sleepy, Snow White," said the dwarf. "See, the dishes are all done. Now we will put them away in the cupboard, and then we'll see about putting you away to bed." The child objected that it was still daylight. She tried to look wide awake and succeeded for a few minutes while they were putting away the dishes in the most charming little hanging cupboard with glass doors. But after that, her head grew heavy, and her eyelids, as she expressed it, kept flopping into her eyes. "Where am I going to sleep?" she asked. "There ought to be little white beds, and one would be too big and the next would be too small, and no, that's the Three Bears, isn't it? I don't see any beds at all in this place." She began to rub her eyes, and it was clear that there must be no further delay. "Come in here," said the man. "Here's your bed all ready for you." He led her through the door, and there was a tiny bedroom all shining and clean like the other rooms. The bed stood in one corner, white and smooth, with a plumpy pillow that seemed to be waiting for the child. She sighed a long sigh of contented weariness and put her arms up in a fashion which the man seemed to understand. He sat down in a low chair and took her in his arms, where she nestled like a sleepy kitten. He rocked her gently, patting her in an absent fashion, but presently she raised her eyes with an indignant gleam. "You aren't singing anything," she said. "Sing!" "Hush," said the man. "How can I sing unless you're quiet?" He hummed under his breath, as if trying to recall something. Then he laughed in a helpless sort of way and said to the door, "Look at this, will ya?" But there was nothing really to look at, and after a while he began to sing, in a soft, crooning voice, about birds and flowers and children, all going to sleep. Such a drowsy song. The words seemed to nod along the music till they nodded themselves sound asleep. When he finished, the child seemed to be asleep too, but she roused herself once more. She sat up on his knee and rubbed her eyes. "Does dwarfs know about prayers?" she said drowsily. "Do you know about them?" The man's eyes looked dark again. "Not much," he said, "but I know enough to hear yours, Snow White. Will you say it on my knee here?" But the child slipped down to the floor and dropped her head in his knee in a businesslike way. "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. I don't say the rest, 'cause I don't like it. And God bless Papa and Mama, and make me a good amen. And God bless this dwarf," she added. "That's all." Then she lifted her head and looked at the dwarf, and something in her look, flushed as she was with sleep, the light in her eyes half veiled, made the man start and flinch and turn very pale. "No," he said, putting out his hands as if to push the child away. "No, leave me alone." The child opened her eyes a little wider and looked at him. "What is the matter of you, dwarf?" she said. "I wasn't touching you. Are you cross?" "No," said the man, and he smiled again. "Snow White, if I don't put you to bed, you'll be going to sleep on my best floor, and I can't have that." He laid her in the little bed and tucked the bedclothes round her smoothly. She was asleep almost before her head touched the pillow. The man stood looking at her a long time. Presently, he took up one of her curls and examined it, holding it up to the fading light. It was a pretty curl, fine and soft, and of a peculiar shade of reddish-brown. He went to a box and took out a folded paper. Unfolding this, took out another curl of hair and laid it beside the child. They might have grown on the same head. "Though I take the wings of the morning," said the man, and he laid the curl back in the box and went out and shut the door softly behind him.